All right, so we jumping straight on into part 2 of my Hoodoo story time, The Bottle. So when we left off, y'all, Nadine and her roommate Cheryl were on their way to South Carolina. They get in the car, they jump on 95, and they start riding. They blasting Belle Biv DeVoe Poison, and they are heading up and down that road. But over a while, as they're traveling, it just seems to have some type of heavy feeling that comes over both of them, like some kind of negativity or some type of darkness that comes around. And at first, they were jamming and listening to the music, but then everybody just got quiet in the car. In Nadine's mind, it felt like somebody was in there with them, but she kept looking around and she didn't see anybody. And Cheryl could tell that Nadine was starting to panic or starting to feel some type of anxiety. So she tried to make the situation light. She tried to talk to her and make jokes with her to kind of keep her mind off of it. And it did work a little, but deep down inside, Cheryl was feeling the same thing Nadine was feeling too. So finally, they arrived in her small town in South Carolina. Immediately, Nadine tells Cheryl to take her by the house. Cheryl was like, "Are you serious? Do you want to go at night?" Nadine was like, "I might not even get out. I just want to go and look at it just to make sure that this is the same house that I was seeing in my dream." And it kind of even amazed Nadine because she was giving Cheryl all the directions, telling her to bust this left, bust this right. And the town, which is a very small town, was so dark and creepy. The vibe was just creepy and dark, and it was like a thick fog that was hanging over them. So they pull up at the house, and you could just immediately see the fear in Nadine's eyes. Cheryl looks over at her and says, "You used to live in this house, didn't you?" Nadine looked her back in the eyes and said, "Yes." After seeing the house, after thinking about the dream and remembering everything that happened, Nadine could finally confirm that this is the house that they stayed in when they were small. She remembers her little brother running through the house. She remembered them playing. She even remembered a Christmas that they had there. They were young. They couldn't have, Nadine maybe was like 6 or 7, and her little brother had to be like 4 or 5. So it was, I believe it was something that she blocked out of her mind because of the trauma after her brother passed away. So as they're sitting there, y'all, they see a light pop on in one of the windows. And then a strong wind came and started blowing real hard. So they don't know if that's what caused this to happen, but the next thing they knew, the front door slowly started to creep open. That shit freaked them out so bad. Nadine turned to Cheryl and said, "Let's get the fuck up out of here." And that's exactly what they did. They finally made it to Nadine's mother, and they got out. They went in. She had a little food fix for them, so they ate. Then that's when Nadine and Cheryl began to tell their mother everything, blow by blow, about what happened. And then Nadine finished off with bringing up the dream in the house. Her mother had a look of terror on her face. She knew her mother was terrified when she saw her go over to the liquor cabinet and pour her a nice shot of Hennessy. When she sat back down, she was like, "Look, I know that you're going through some things, and I want to help you as best as I can. And I understand that the only reason you're bringing this stuff up is because of what you're going through. But this is really hard for me because it brings back so many memories of your little brother, and that's something that's hard for me to talk about." Nadine held her mother's hand as her mother began to tell them that a few months after they moved into the house, it was a real creepy feel there. Things being moved around, doors being slammed, footsteps being heard, but no one there. Then it started to get even more creepier when both Nadine and her little brother started to say they had imaginary friends. Both of them claimed to play with a little imaginary boy, and they called him Wet Boy. Okay? So I guess, Nadine blocked all this out too. But her mother confirmed that her and her brother both had an imaginary friend, and it was a lot of creepy things that were happening in the home, and that they eventually had to get up out of there because things began to get worse. They never saw anything. It was just noises. It was just a heavy feeling. And then as the kids continued to say that they were talking and playing with Wet Boy, the mom told her dad that it was time for them to move on and find them someplace else to go. What's even more interesting is that the mother says that once they moved out of the house, her little brother cried for days because he wanted to go back and play with Wet Boy. So the mother is not sure if there was some type of connection that was still lingering between the house, the imaginary friend, and her brother. And the brother mysteriously drowns maybe about 2 to 3 months after they move out of that house, y'all. Then her mom goes on to say that it is best for them to go and speak with her grandparents, which is her mother's parents, because they work their root, baby. They are very spiritual, very highly connected, both her mother and her father. So she's encouraging Nadine and Cheryl to go and talk to them to see what else they can come up with or find out. And she tells them that she's going to go with them. So that Saturday morning, they get up real early and they drive out to the country. Now, the small town that they live in, they have like the city area with the restaurants and, everybody in the neighborhood and things like that. But her grandparents actually lived out in the country area, which is in the outskirts of the town. So they went all the way out into the country and they had to go down a winding dirt road to get to their house. Okay? Now, the grandmother, her name is, they call her Mama Bell. And then the granddad, he is Fox. They call him Fox because he's real slick. So it's Mama Bell and Fox. They've been married for over 50 years, y'all. So they're an elderly couple, but they're in good shape because they take care of themselves. They live off the land. They brew herbs. They know which herb does what. They know which herb helps heal. So they are really a spiritual couple, and they are thriving together in their little house on a winding dirt road. So Mama Bell, she practices hoodoo as well as her husband, Mr. Fox. But Mama Bell is more church oriented. She prays, but she also knows which herbs do what and what you need. Now, Granddaddy Fox, he likes to plant the herbs. He likes to work with the earth, okay? So together, they are a force to be reckoned with. So as they pull up to their house, they're both outside in the yard working in their garden. When they pull up, they're so happy to see them. They greet Nadine and tell her how beautiful she is and how proud of her they are that she's in college. And then they introduce Cheryl to her. And of course, the mom, she loving on her mom and dad as well. So they go to walk in, but the grandmother is leading. Everybody's behind the grandma. Granddaddy Fox, he stays outside. He's still working in the garden. So when she goes to walk up the steps, she stops in her tracks. She turns around and she looks at them and she says, y'all done brought something with y'all here, period. So Nadine and Cheryl, they are looking at each other or whatever. And Nadine's mom says, yes, ma'am. That's why we came here, because we need to talk to y'all. So Grandma Bell don't play, okay? She brought them in, but she made them take off their stuff and she gave them robes to put on. She took the clothes, she put them in the washing machine, and she began to wash them with some Florida water involved in it too. And a little bit of that Blue Anil soap so she could cleanse out whatever they had on them and they didn't keep that shit up in her house, okay? So while everybody is sitting at the table, she brews them a little tea. And some of the herbs that she had put in the tea was some blue lotus, a little mugwort, and then she also used a little star of anise. So she made a little tea for them, and they went on to start telling her what was going on. Immediately, Grandma Bell was like, yeah, y'all playing with that witch board, and y'all done opened up something, and now it's attached to y'all. So now, y'all got to figure out how to get it off of y'all. So Nadine is starting to tear up like she's about to cry. Grandma Bell was like, we ain't got time for that, baby. We got to get to work. So Grandma Bell pulled out her sage. She saged them down real good. She ran a bath, and each one of them took a spiritual bath. And once they came out of their spiritual bath, she took an egg and she cleansed them with that egg. And then she began to pray over them. And she began to gather up some herbs, some oils for protection. Because she said, y'all got to suit up. Because whatever's going on, that house is connected. So it's something in that house that is connected to this, and we got to figure out what it is. Come back for part 3.